Main themes have always been an integral part of film music. Great main themes understand that they are not just meant to be an introduction, but a statement. Main themes are responsible for setting the tone, capturing the story's essence, and linger in the audience's mind long after the initial credits roll. In television especially, main themes hold great value as they are what brings the audience into the show's world. When you listen to the main theme of Game of Thrones, Succession, or Friends, you know you're in for a ride. This is Carlos Rafael Rivera. With an Emmy and multiple Grammy wins to his name, he is a musical master of storytelling, blending rich harmonies and evocative themes to shape unforgettable narratives. His work speaks for itself, powerful, distinct, and deeply emotional. And perhaps he is best known for scoring TV shows like The Queen's Gambit, Lessons in Chemistry, and most recently, Griselda. So, let's take a look at what today's episode is about. Today, Thematic Breakdowns presents Episode 4, Carlos Rafael Rivera, and the art of the main theme. Today, we're going to use The Queen's Gambit, Griselda, and Lesson in Chemistry's main themes as case studies to understand how Carlos has mastered the art of the main theme. So, let's establish a basic guideline for our analysis. Carlos's main themes are always character-driven compositions, and what he does to accomplish this is he works with thematic simplicity and depth, harmonic and timbral storytelling, and rhythmic movement. So let's begin with our first case study, The Queen's Gambit. The fascinating drama miniseries The Queen's Gambit centers on the life of young orphan Beth Harmon, who possesses a remarkable talent for chess. The show, which is set in the 50s and 60s, follows Beth's journey from an orphanage where she had a difficult upbringing to becoming a world-class chess prodigy. Now, the show tackles many themes. On one side, we have talent, ambition, and dedication. On the other side, we have themes like belonging, family, and mentorship. And on a separate branch, it also tackles themes like addiction. But overall, these all come together under the theme of coming of age. Now, the device the show uses to explore these themes is chess, which is a game that works around strategy, it works around identity, it works around perseverance and self-control. All different themes that Beth is going to have to learn how to master in her own life to achieve her full potential. Let's listen to the main theme. Now after this, I think it's pretty clear that Carlos has mastered the art of the main theme, so let's now understand why. Character-driven compositions are scores that musically embody a character's personality, emotions, and evolution rather than just supporting the scene. They act as an extension of the character, reflecting the inner world, struggles, and transformation through melody, harmony, rhythm, texture. So, the theme in The Queen's Gambit is a musical portrait of Beth's mind. It is structured, brilliant, relentless, yet still holds some emotional fragility. So let's take a look at the first key element Carlos uses to develop this character-driven composition. The thematic content in this theme is basically an ostinato with melodic and harmonic implications. It is memorable, evocative, and it allows the listener to settle into the theme. So let's take a look at it. A single musical figure to bring cohesion, thematic simplicity, but depth through it. Now let's talk about harmonic and timbral storytelling. The theme basically works around an unresolved minor/modal space, with gentle attacks in the strings. In the story, this translates through both Beth and Chess, both constantly fighting for a resolution with sharp strategic thinking. And once again, both the thematic material and the harmonic and timbral storytelling is supported by the rhythmic movement, which in this case is a restrained yet propulsive pace, always moving forward. In the story, translating as the constant motion Beth faces and creates throughout her journey. And we see this throughout the story. Beth is orphaned as a young child. She learns how to play chess. She is adopted by a family. She starts getting recognition worldwide. She falls in love. She travels the world as a chess player and becomes a grandmaster. So let's put the analysis we've done for these three categories together. If we do, we get this. And very clearly we can see how these all blend together, right? It is the ostinato with melodic and harmonic implications working in this unresolved space with gentle attacks in a restrained yet propulsive space. It is Beth's mind. So once again, let's see how this translates into the story. Through the thematic simplicity, we get a grasp of Beth's obsessive mind. It's very structured, it's very intense, it's very determined, it keeps going forward. Through the unresolved minor modal space with gentle attacks, we get the sense of always wanting to resolve something that is usually attached to the themes of the show we explored. And through the rhythmic movement, much like a game of chess, we get constant motion, always forward, never going back, despite being able to look back, never going back. And this is how Carlos builds a character-driven composition. This is how he constructs a theme that is a musical portrait of Beth's mind. It is the way these three key elements work together to bring into life the theme. And this theme, as I said before, is a perfectly distilled musical representation of Beth Harmon, elegant, mathematical, fragile, and deeply expressive. Now we said how main themes are a statement, and that is why the Queen Gambit's main theme stands out, not because it supports the story, but because it is the story. It is the main character and her journey in 1 minute of music. Now, let's take a look at case study number 2, Lessons in Chemistry. In the 1950s, Elizabeth Sott's dreams of being a scientist are challenged by a society that says women belong in the domestic sphere. She accepts a job on a TV cooking show and sets out to teach a nation of housewives way more than recipes. In this show, we explore themes like gender inequality, family, trauma, tragedy, loss, and grief. And the device, in this case, is the society and the societal norms the show is based around. It talks about empowerment, the value of education, resilience, and kindness. So, like in Queen's Gambit, we're going to take a look at the main theme now. If you've already heard it, feel free to skip ahead into the analysis. Now, straight away, we can tell that this theme is very different from the Queen's Gambit. It is warm, lyrical, gentle, curious. Still, it holds one thing in common, and it is that it is a character-driven composition. So, similarly to the Queen's Gambit, the main theme of Lessons in Chemistry is a musical portrait of the show's protagonist, Elizabeth Zott, and her mind and journey. And to translate into terms of story, it is a theme that sounds intelligent and precise, warm and resilient, and creative, but encapsulated due to the situation Elizabeth lives in. So let's talk about thematic simplicity with depth, the first point and element that Carlos uses to create character-driven themes. In this case, it is a simple yet elegant melodic line that is constantly evolving. It is instantly recognizable, allowing once again for emotional engagement and curiosity on behalf of the audience. Now, in the example we just saw, it even shows how the theme evolves, the melody line evolves, much like Elizabeth will throughout the show. Now let's talk about harmonic and timbral storytelling. Different to the Queen's Gambit, here we have a warm, diatonic harmony with chromatic inflections. This sounds very delicate and very balanced. It incites an introspective, elegant, and intimate connection. Now those red circles were the chromatic inflections, which if you take a listen again, will notice how they kind of draw you in. And when we're talking about the rhythmic movement, this theme is measured, yet it's not rigid. It is a steady pace with some subtle syncopations, which we'll take a look. It is about constant learning, adaptation, and perseverance in the face of the unknown. It's always pushing the theme forward, much like Elizabeth does, overcoming trauma, falling in love, starting a life she never imagined, hitting tragedy, becoming a single mom, raising her child, facing the hardship and struggles that society pushes in front of her for being a woman, and finally overcoming it all through her own way. So this is what we see when we put this analysis together. We can clearly tell that Carlos's intention was to create something elegant, something warm, something diatonic, that is measured, it's not rigid, it pushes the story forward, much like Elizabeth is always moving forward, discovering something new, becoming someone new. The theme on its own is instantly recognizable, doesn't matter which way you look at it, much like the Queen's Gambit. And that allows for emotional engagement, as you don't have to think too much about where you're listening, but you have to feel it. Once again, it is a statement besides being an introduction. It is a way to get you to know Elizabeth Zott and the world she lives in. And that is how it is a character-driven composition. That is why it is a musical portrait of Elizabeth Zott's mind. Because Carlos, once again, finds a way to, through a minute, maybe two of music, create and encapsulate this whole story, this whole world, and this outstanding protagonist. It is a methodical yet deeply human theme, mirroring Elizabeth Zott's scientific mind and emotional depth, warm, lyrical, gently evolving, and slightly constrained. Lessons in Chemistry's main theme is a guide to understanding its protagonist, reinforcing her story and its themes. Let's take a look at the third and final case study from Netflix's recent show, Griselda. Griselda chronicles the real life of savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco, who created one of the most profitable cartels in history. A devoted mother, Blanco's lethal blend of charm and unsuspected savagery helped her expertly navigate between family and business, leading her to become widely known as the Black Widow. In a very structured way like Lessons in Chemistry, Griselda explores themes like survival, power, ambition, and loss. It is a show that explores this through, once again, a storytelling device, which is Griselda's social status. This is portrayed through the drug trade, the mother figure, which she grows into, violence, and even Griselda's wardrobe. It is truly fascinating. So, like the two previous case studies, I'm gonna put the main theme so you can take a listen. If you already know it, you can skip ahead to the analysis. Now, we're obviously going to do the analysis, but I think once you know how Carlos's mind usually works and how he builds main themes, it becomes pretty clear what he's doing here. So, once again, this is a character-driven composition, very different in style from the previous two, but in similarity, it is a character-driven composition because the theme, once again, is a musical portrait of Griselda. Griselda and her mind, her evolution, her journey. It is a relentless, cunning ambition prepared to strike whenever it is needed, much like Griselda throughout all her story. So let's take a look at point number 1, thematic simplicity with depth. And we're going to take a look at the rhythmic, beautiful, and captivating melodic line the woodwinds play. When combined with the strings below, it is raw, commanding, and forcefully beautiful towards the audience. Let's take a listen. Now, there is so much more going on besides that line. So let's take a look at the harmonic and timbral storytelling. Completely contrasting the previous two case studies, we have a dark, pulsating harmony relying on a low register played by the strings. It transmits power and Griselda's inevitability with a heavy sense of weight. Now, let's take a look at the third and final category, rhythmic movement. Now, this is a very rhythmic theme. It is rhythmic driven, and it builds a propulsive force, whether it's silence or the low register strings. It is inevitable. It is climbing steadily and aggressively, an unstoppable nature. And once again, that rhythm is what backs up Griselda's steady, constant, aggressive, inevitable race to power through those raw, commanding, savage actions that take her all the way to the top. So, when we put the three categories together, much like we did in the previous two case studies, we once again see how these are connected. Between all of them being heavily rhythmic to captivating the audience through aggressiveness or a very raw, commanding beauty, we see how, once again, this is a character-driven composition. When we translate these elements into the story, we go back to the themes we saw in the beginning: violence, power, darkness, the savagery, and the unpredictable nature of this show's protagonist. It is a theme that carries a lot of weight, much like the weight the audience feels when they're watching the show, because it can get so violent, it can get so unpredictable, so unexpected, so drastic. It is relentless. It is the cunning ambition Griselda has to strike whenever is needed to reach her goals and become the woman she wants in the world she wants to own. So, let's now close up this third case study so we can move on into the connections and the takeaways from this analysis. Ruthless, inevitable, and unstoppable through the danger, tension, and urgency as Griselda rises to power. These are the things Griselda's main theme illustrates. It is an invitation to the character's soul, illustrating the danger she is, along with her savage, cunning methods to rise to power. So, we have analyzed the three themes under the umbrella of them being character-driven compositions. And what this means is that Carlos is creating musical portrait of the protagonist's mind and story. He does this once again through thematic simplicity, harmonic and timbral storytelling, and rhythmic movement. So let's take a look at what the objective of each one of these is. Through the first element, one can assume what Carlos does is try to create evocative and concise ideas about the protagonist, her story, and its themes. It is something that is usually memorable, something the audience feels straight away and hears evolve without having to put too much thought into it. It is intuitive thematic material. Through harmonic and timbral storytelling, what he does is he carefully crafts both chord progressions and textures to enhance the thematic material. So, through the harmonic and timbral storytelling, he pushes the thematic material forward, making it even clearer what it means, what it represents, and how it should make you feel. And finally, through the rhythmic movement, through the progression of the theme, what he does is he imitates the pace of the story and the protagonist's journey. So it speaks to the soul of the story. It is not an introduction, it is a statement of what you're about to experience, what you're about to see, what you're about to hopefully enjoy. And the biggest takeaway is that every creative decision is intentional. Whether it is a calculated and restless motif that holds the theme together, or maybe an ascending lyrical melody that explores a sense of discovery, curiosity, or maybe it is a raw, bold color that encapsulates unyielding strength and ambition. No matter which one we look at, it is very clear every creative decision is intentional. Whether he begins composing by following his intuition and his gut, or he's very methodical from the beginning, everything is intentional. And that is because a great TV theme isn't something you hum, it's something you feel. And in the case of Carlos Rafael Rivera, his themes don't just introduce a show, they invite you into the very soul of its story. So, when crafting a main theme, what are the key takeaways from this analysis and Carlos's mastery of the main theme? Well, first of all, understand who the theme is for. Is it for a chess prodigy, a struggled scientist, or one of the most dangerous people in Miami? 2. Know the intent of your every decision. Melodical, rhythmic, harmonic, timbral, doesn't matter. Know why you're making those creative choices. And thirdly, main themes. Make them a statement. Make them the soul of the story. Because that is what a great main theme is. Now, before I leave you, Carlos has some beyond outstanding, fantastic content online. So I'm going to leave you the link to these videos down in the description because they are beyond incredible. And also leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite TV theme is. Is it one of these? Is it something completely different? Or maybe what's your favorite games theme or film? And also let me know what themes would you like me to cover in these episodes of Thematic Breakdowns. I'll definitely be taking them into consideration. Thank you so much for checking out the 4th episode of Thematic Breakdowns. Now, this one has been in the list even before I started making these videos, and it's because I have such admiration for Carlos's main themes. I've learned so much from them. So, thank you. Remember to leave a like if you liked what you saw, Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with more content, and the link to buy me a coffee is in the description, as that really helps with me being able to keep this series moving forward. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one.